If you have ever wanted to create custom gradients in Photoshop, then this video is for you. Okay, I am going to show you how to create and customize 3 types of gradients. So let's get started. Alright, here on the layers panel you can see I have 3 groups representing the different types of gradients we are going to create. But before we get into it, let's have a quick overview of how you can add gradients inside of Photoshop. So let's expand this group and enable it. If I need to add gradient to this text, there are basically many ways in which we can do that. One way is to select the layer, click here, and then choose gradient. Okay, once gradient opens up, you can just click on the middle section here to bring the gradient editor. Okay, we are going to get into this in a moment, but for now let's come to the purpose and let's just apply this gradient since it is a preset, right? And then let's just click OK and click OK here. Now we can add a clipping marks to limit the gradient just to the text layer. Hold the Alt key and click in between. All right, now if we get into the properties here, you see that we can change the style of the gradient to either radial, linear, reflected, diamond, and so on and so forth. We can also shift the angle of that gradient from here. Okay, and if it is too big, you can just hover outside. Once you have the gradient view window here, you can just hover outside to have access to the move tool, and you can move the gradient freeform on the screen as you can see me do here. Okay, very cool. All right, you can also adjust the scale from here or reverse if you want the opposite color to be the other way. Okay, you can reverse just like so. So that's one way of adding gradient. Let's delete this layer, and the other way is actually converting the text layer itself into a shape layer. Okay, since I will have to come back to this layer, I'm going to add a copy of it. So I'll just press Ctrl+J to add a copy and then hide the original text layer below. Then I'll simply right click and then I choose convert to shape. Okay, now it is already converted into a shape, and if you are wondering why this option here gets shrink down to just the layer bounds, you can do that by going here and then choose panel options, and if you choose entire document, you have the full layer thumbnail as you can see. Okay, but if you go to panel options and then you choose layer bounds from the thumbnail content, then click OK, you have just the content being displayed here. This looks actually minimalistic and I like it. Okay guys, cool. Now since we have converted this layer into a shape layer, which was actually a text layer, what we can do now is select the path selection tool or the direct selection tool. Okay, if we select the direct selection tool, for instance, we can select just these 2 anchor points here and simply move them around. Okay, distort the whole text. If this is actually what you want, you can actually modify the text from here if you want to. Okay, that's just one way of doing that. So let's press Ctrl+Z to undo, and now we can select this layer, and because we have the black arrow or the white arrow selected, we can click on the fill and choose gradient. Okay, now the gradient will be applied directly as the fill, just like how shapes work inside of Photoshop. Okay, then I can choose maybe this gradient which I created in advance, and you see how that is being applied beautifully as you can see here. Then since this is a shape, we can also increase the stroke like that, and I can also click on the stroke fill and choose gradient. Okay, this time I can choose this other one which is silver, and then reduce the size of the stroke ever so slightly, and everything looks totally wonderful. Okay, we can modify the background color further so that you can see how it stands out. Okay, this looks good. Okay, cool. So there are many ways in which you can apply gradients inside of Photoshop, and now let's understand how to create these gradients in the first place. Okay, because it can really become tricky sometimes. So I'm going to delete the copy layer here, and I will enable the silver text, and since this is a silver gradient I'm going to create, I'll click here and then choose gradient. Then to bring the gradient editor, we simply click on this empty bar here. Okay, once the gradient editor opens up, of course you can start with the basics if you want. All right, like right now we see that it goes from black to white. Okay, now notice that the black portion is this portion down here and the white portion is this portion up here. Notice that we also have these stops. We have this stop at the bottom, these 2 stops right here, and we also have these stops at the top. Okay, the stops at the bottom control the initial colors. So if I need to change black, I can select the black stop, or I just double click on it and pick any other color that I want directly from here, such as this color. Okay, and if I need to change the white color, I simply click on this top and change the color from here, or you just double click on this top. That will bring the color picker and we can change it to another color just like so. Okay, as you can see. Cool. Then the stops at the top control the opacity of the colors you have chosen. So this color here is this deep blue. So if I need the color to become transparent, I can select the stop at the top and opacity becomes visible, right? Then I can just reduce the opacity, and you see that this time we are revealing the black layer below it. Okay, and as I increase the opacity gradually, we have that portion of color gradually increasing and becoming opaque on the screen, as you can see right now. So that's how you work with these color stops right here. The ones at the top control the opacity just like the opacity you get on the layers panel, and the ones at the bottom control the initial colors itself. Then if you need to add to a gradient, if you need to add another stop, simply hover here. Don't hover on the gradient itself, you have the eyedropper tool, hover just below it. Okay, once you get the hand icon, you can click to add a stop. Okay, just like so. Then you can double click on the stop you have just added and simply choose another color just like so. Come somewhere around here, click there, double click, and then choose another color. Or this time, instead of clicking just once, you can just double click. Okay, that will create a stop and also bring up the color picker instantly, as you have seen me do here. Then if you need to delete any stop from here, simply drag it outside. Okay, as we drag it outside, we get rid of them instantly, as you can see. So the first gradient we will learn how to create is the silver gradient. So I'm going to double click here, and I want the edges to have this dark gray. Okay, in fact I need to copy this color code so that I remember the gray that was used there. Okay, then I'll just click OK. Then this one this way has to be totally white, as you can see. Cool. Then I'm going to click here in the middle, add a stop there, and I want to paste that color I copied before. Ctrl+V to paste it right there, and in between here I want the color to be totally white, so I double click here and choose white, then click OK. All right, cool. Now since we have this, you notice these tiny diamonds. Okay, they just help you mix how transitioning those colors in between actually look. Okay, so let's make sure it transitions smoothly like this, and we can click here to add another stop right there, and I'll just paste that color just like so. If it doesn't look right, we can always come back and adjust things later on. Okay, cool. But right now I think this color has to be somewhat white. Okay, you are basically clicking, adding the stops, and simply modifying the different colors. Okay guys, that's basically what we are doing here. Now assuming the gradient is okay, you can add as many stops as you want right here. Okay, but for me this is okay. Assuming we are done with this gradient, we need to save it so that we can come back and use it several times, or even export it. Okay, you can start by giving it a name. I'll call this silver. Then once I have this name written, I click on new. Okay, now one mistake I made was I had the basics group selected. I didn't want to include this gradient in this group, so I'm going to right click and delete the gradient from there. Okay, now I'm going to collapse the group and make sure nothing is selected. Then I'll just click new this time, and you see that it comes outside. Okay, where if we right click, we can choose new gradient group, give it a name. I'll just call it group 1, click OK. Then move this gradient inside. Okay, now it stays within that group. And if we need to export it, we can right click and then choose export selected group or gradient. Okay, and similarly this is where you can also import other gradients you have downloaded from the internet. Okay, let's just leave that in there, and let's click OK, and let's click OK. As we learn, we can hold the Alt key and limit that gradient just to the text. Then we can come in here and start adjusting the angle of the silver gradient, as you can see right here. Okay, we can even change the style of the gradient from linear to reflected, and we can also reduce the scale of the gradient directly from here, as you can see right now. Okay, this is just something I don't want it to take a lot of time, so I'm going to let it go like that. And let's just collapse the group, okay, right now, and let's turn it off. Let's create a go gradient again for this text. So I'll have to click and choose gradient, and this time I click here to bring the gradient editor. Right, I already know how a gold color looks like, so I'm just going to double click on this first top, and then I choose this color. Then I want a darker shade of that color like this. Then I'll click again here, select this top and choose a lighter color like so. Then click right at the end here, choose that same color and choose a lighter shade, just like so. Okay, then I'll click again at the top to control the opacity here, make the opacity 100%, as you can see. Then I want another dark shade in the middle here. I give a dark shade there, like so, to have this intense gradient. So I can select that color further from there. Okay, the gradient is actually looking great, but we can make it better. Okay, let's leave it like that. Of course, you already know that by now you can't add many stops as you want. Okay, then control their opacity, mix how they transition here and there, but I feel like we need to add another gradient right here. Okay, let's just double click there, choose this color. All right, it transitions smoothly like that. And let's come over here, and right now I think let's leave the 5 stops. Okay, let's just rename this to gold, and let's make sure no group is selected, or we can scroll down. Okay, select group 1 and then simply click on, let's give it a name, let's call it gold, then click on new. Because we have this group selected, it's going to enter inside automatically. Then I'll click OK, click OK, then I'll simply enable the group from here, hold the Alt key and clip it. Now we have that gold gradient right here where we can't be able to customize it further from here. Okay, let's first of all create all the gradients, and we are going to convert this text into shape later on. So I'm going to again collapse that and hide it, and the next gradient I need to create here is the dark red. So I'm going to come here, choose gradient, simply click to bring the gradient editor, right? And first thing, let's adjust the colors here. Okay, now it goes from black to black, so I'm going to allow this one first of all to red. I'll choose this dark red like so, then I click here and choose light red, click here, choose dark red, then click here, choose light red, click here, and then choose dark red, and then I click here, and then I choose light red. Then I want this top here to have this dark red, not pure black. Okay, just like so. Then since we have this gradient already created, of course we can customize it further. Okay, I'll just scroll down, select this group. Okay, then I call it dark red, and then click on new. It's going to enter in that particular group. I click OK, click OK. Now I can't add a clipping marks to it directly from here. Okay guys, cool. Let's now see how we can add these gradients to the whole text groups and layers. Let's delete this, and this one is dark red. I'm going to destroy this text. I'll convert it into a shape because I just like to come here and then click on gradient and choose the dark red gradient from there, and we can change the style to reflected if we want to. Okay, it's just going to reflect stuff as you can see right there, but let's go with linear, and we can reverse stuff here and there, adjust the angle like so if we so want to. Okay, cool. Let's just leave this to 90, and that's basically it. And I also want to control the stroke, so I click here, let's add some size to the stroke. I'll click, and for the stroke I want it to be silver, the silver gradient I created. Okay, and that is it. It looks totally wonderful. We can't hide it. Come over here, get rid of this layer. Okay, the reason I like to convert this text first of all into a shape is to have the possibility to control both the fill and stroke, but I'm going to show you one other way to do it in the last option. Okay, so let's click here. This time I need the gold gradient. I'll select this one, and then for the stroke I'll increase the size up to 17 pixels, and I actually want to mix gold and red. Okay, I want the red stroke this time and it looks totally wonderful. Okay, we can modify the background color to see how that looks even better, like so. Okay, not looking bad. All right, this looks wonderful. Okay, I'm just going to again hide this group, and I know you like the gradient. Okay guys, let's just hide the group for now. So the next one we'll be looking at is silver. Okay, so let's delete what we have created in the past, and like I said, there is also one way in which we can do it. Okay, we can click here and then choose gradient. Let's just get into our custom gradients from here, and this time I want to apply the red gradient. Okay, then I'll clip it. Then I can get into the properties here and adjust the scale of that particular gradient, okay, to make sure it feels nicely, as you can see there on the screen. Cool. Then I will also offset the angle like so. Click OK. Then what we can do to add the stroke is we can add that stroke to the whole group. Okay, I can just right click and choose blending options and then simply enable stroke from here. Okay, under layer style we can adjust the size of the stroke directly from here, and we can make the stroke white, okay, which also looks wonderful because the fill type is set to color. We can choose just one color, but if you want gradient, you can click here, choose gradient or pattern. Then we can also click here and then get into the custom group we have created. Let's expand it, and this time I want to mix red and gold. Okay, cool. Then we can also adjust the angle of the gold gradient directly from there, and then we can also reduce the scale to make it visible. Okay guys, just like so. Cool. All right, then we can adjust the size of the stroke outline actually. Then let's just click OK, and you see that we have basically accomplished the same effect as we saw with the gold gradient right here, but this time using the layer style and a simple gradient fill adjustment layer right here. Okay guys, so this is how you can create and customize custom gradients easily inside of Photoshop. Okay, and I hope that you have actually understood how to create and save your own custom gradients. And if you found the video interesting, thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more awesome videos coming up. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye bye.